Have you ever faced a moment where you knew you had to do something difficult for the greater good, even if it meant putting yourself at risk? Well, let me take you to ancient Persia, where one brave woman faced the impossible to save her people. This is the story of Queen Esther. Long ago, in the kingdom of Persia, King Xerxes ruled over a vast and powerful empire. One day, the king's queen, Vashti, refused to obey his command in front of his guests. This upset the king so much that he decided to remove her as queen and find a new one. Among the young women chosen to appear before the king was a young Jewish woman named Esther. Esther was a kind and wise woman who had been raised by her cousin Mordecai after her parents passed away. She was chosen for her beauty, but no one knew about her true identity. Esther was given the royal crown and became the queen of Persia. But even as she took her new role, she kept her Jewish identity a secret. It wasn't easy living in a palace and trying to fit into a new world, but Esther trusted God's plan and purpose for her. Life in the palace seemed to move on as usual until a terrible plot began to unfold. A wicked man named Haman, who held power in the king's court, developed a deep hatred for Mordecai, Esther's cousin, because Mordecai refused to bow to him. Haman's anger grew, and he began plotting something dreadful. Haman convinced King Xerxes to issue a decree to destroy all the Jewish people in the empire. This wasn't just a threat. It was an order. The Jewish people were now at risk, their lives hanging in the balance. When Mordecai heard about this terrible plan, he tore his clothes in anguish and began to mourn. He sent a message to Esther in the palace, urging her to speak to the king on behalf of her people. But there was a problem. Anyone who entered the king's presence without being summoned could be executed. Esther knew that if she went to the king uninvited, her life could be in grave danger. Esther faced a choice: remain silent and live with the knowledge of her people's destruction, or risk her own life to save them. With trembling hands, she made a decision. She chose courage. She sent a message back to Mordecai. "Fast and pray for me. I will go to the king, and if I perish, I perish." Esther knew this would be her only chance to change history. With prayer and courage, Esther approached King Xerxes. Imagine the tension, the fate of an entire people resting on her actions. The king could have refused her or even ordered her death. But something remarkable happened. The king saw her and extended his golden scepter to her. This was a sign of favor. Esther invited the king and Haman to a feast where she would share her request. At the feast, Esther's heart must have been racing. She knew the moment had come to speak. With courage, she invited the king and Haman to another feast the following day, preparing her request carefully. Haman was overconfident. He believed he had the king's favor and that his plan to destroy the Jews would succeed. But Esther's careful planning was about to turn the tides. That night, the king couldn't sleep. He began reading the royal chronicles and discovered how Mordecai had once saved his life from an assassination plot. The king asked, "What has been done for Mordecai to reward him?" And the answer came back: nothing. On the very morning of Esther's second feast, the king summoned Haman and commanded him to honor Mordecai in the most public way. This was a crushing blow to Haman's pride. At Esther's second feast, she courageously revealed the truth. Haman had plotted to destroy her people. With her voice, Esther saved her nation. Haman was arrested and the king reversed his decree. The Jewish people were saved. Esther's courage changed history. She stepped into the unknown, risking her life, and trusted God. Through her faith, God brought deliverance to his people. This story reminds us that courage, faith, and trust in God can lead to incredible victories, even in the face of fear. Like Esther, you can choose to step out in faith and trust God with your story. Courage in the face of fear can change lives. Trust God, just like Esther did. So, let me ask you, have you ever faced a moment where you needed to step out in faith, even when it felt scary? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Share it with someone who needs encouragement and hit that subscribe button for more inspiring stories and lessons from the Bible. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.